Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Higher Self Hypnosis session. My name is Tracy with Soul Essence Healing and Hypnosis. I have my lovely client Gladys here, who has agreed to let her session be placed on social media. And that is, excuse me, as I'm recovering from pneumonia, that is so that you can see examples of things your higher self can do to bring healing and into your life, to listen to all the wisdom and the nuggets I know her higher self is going to end up sharing with her, because it happens to everyone. And then to increase your faith that, yes, this can happen and this can truly, truly, truly change your life. And even if you don't do a session, you can work with your higher self. When you build that relationship enough, do enough healing work on your own, and you have that connection with your higher self without the intense interference of your persona, your ego mind, to be able to do this work on your own. And sometimes we all need a little help, and I'm not saying don't ever go to anyone to have them help you, but maybe it's this, maybe it's another kind of energy healing. So thank you, Gladys, for allowing us to share this on social media. This is part one, where I get to learn all about you. We're just going to pretend the camera's not even on now. And so this is where I get to learn all about you. We're going to uncover maybe some hidden beliefs or beliefs that are impacting you here and now. So I know you gave me a list of a lot of questions that you had in mind for this session. They're not all going to be able to fit in this session. So what we want to really focus on for this session is to look at it more as triage. So while you may not be bleeding out, so to speak, going into the emergency room, bleeding out with, needing cuts and bruises and everything bandaged up so you don't bleed out, and then, gashing wounds, so then they can attend to the smaller things later. We're going to look at bigger things for this session, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Because when we heal the bigger things and address the bigger things, a lot of the little things, they're just easier to kind of deal with and pick up and heal on our own, or heal over time, because we're addressing a lot of the foundational root causes of things, okay? Instead of just dealing with the cuts and bruises, let's get to the real stuff that's really causing you to have this belief system. What's really causing that lack of finances, or the lack of, whatever, relationships that you might have? What's really causing that? Oh, it goes back to the fact that mom had bipolar disorder and you were around that your whole life, and now you need healing from the trauma from that, or whatever it is. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. So, but it is your session. If I suggest any questions, apologize. If I suggest any questions that you don't want, you tell me. It's your session. Okay. I will help word them, help guide you and direct you. But if you're like, yeah, I just really don't want to deal with that right now, let's not do it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You told me where you live and how old you are, so we don't need to repeat that. So go ahead and start telling me about you growing up, mom, dad, brother, sister, significant events that happened in your life that shaped you.
So I have a half sister. My parents are still married.
Okay.
I did grow up practically as an only child, just because me and my sister are 10 years apart. She moved away when she was 15, so we didn't really live together or anything. Right now, we don't have a a good relationship, her and I. We're very different. We didn't grow up close to each other. My parents, they've been married for about over 30 years, but
So
in
who
my
who
child,
had the who had your sister when they came into the marriage?
my dad did, but it
Okay.
was very come and go. So she wasn't with him all the time. She wasn't with her mom all the time. And then she went out of the country and she lived in Mexico for the rest of her life. So
Okay.
with my parents, we didn't really have an emotional household. It was very cold, restricted, strict. They did give me what I needed, which was clothing, food, everything I needed for school. But emotionally, there wasn't really anything there. So right now, I'm having to learn in my marriage how to communicate my feelings. And I think that's really affecting my marriage, just because I don't know how to communicate my feelings. I go into, instead of fight or flight, I go into flight, and I don't know how to really navigate that area of my
And did you
marriage.
say you go into fight or flight in your marriage?
Flight. So
Flight.
instead of, yeah,
Okay.
instead of arguing, there was quite a bit of arguing in my parents' relationship growing up. I remember a lot of it, and I think that just stayed in my head. And now I'm like, I don't want my children to see that, and I just go into flight mode, and it's really affecting. Instead of me voicing my opinion, or saying, um, I don't like this, I don't like that. I feel like I just go into flight mode. So
And FYI, so normally, normally when you don't voice your opinions, it's because you're not putting yourself first. This
mhm.
is just what I've seen. And you don't know how to truly love yourself and put yourself first.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
got it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
right on.
so that's a root. That's a root thing that's going to affect every part of your life. As you're seeing, it's affecting your marriage. So I already have that question on my list of questions because it's so common. I got tired of typing it. And it is this question. Would it benefit her to have you download Creator's definition of self-love into her? And either tell us what that looks like as you do it, or tell us once you downloaded it. Then can you download the program into her of, I know what it feels like to love myself. I know how to love myself. And what are some things she can do in her daily life? And something that was really drilled into me yesterday in a session I had yesterday is, you really can't ask that question and have it be accepted by the client, by you, without this question too. Would it benefit her to have you download Creator's definition of worthiness into her, that you are worthy of love and of loving yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I can see how that question really comes into play with the rest of this, because where there's lack of worthiness, there's lack of love. And in my case, I feel like there's lack of trust within myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like I feel like
So
I
trust.
need, yeah, like lack of trust within my word, what I say, what I experience. um, I think there's just that lack of trust within me as well.
So what is it in her that needs to be healed in order for her to be able to fully trust herself?
Yeah,
You want that one?
yeah, I think
We're
so.
working on core ones. This is the triage I was talking about. So this is going to help you lay your foundation for the other fluffier things, which are still needed and wonderful and will help you grow. But we got to pull the weeds out of the garden first, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And till that soil and get that soil nice and rich, so we can grow this amazing garden that you
Ooh,
are,
girl,
right?
there's a lot of weeds.
Hey, it's all of us, okay?
Abundance.
Just because I may have pulled more doesn't mean I didn't have like a plenty, and that I'm still a weed free garden. That doesn't mean that. It just means I'm a little further along in the journey because I started a little bit earlier,
Yes,
and I'm a
definitely.
lot older than you.
Oh, but it's
Okay.
good to start whenever you have the time and you're fully aware. I mean,
Hmm.
as long as you
Yeah.
start, right? Yeah.
Uh huh. Better than having to repeat it again. Okay. So putting yourself. Okay. So we got that. We got that whole thing. But let's ask. Do you want to ask a marriage question about what steps would it? Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can word it.
Okay.
She has a hard time communicating her feelings in her marriage, and it is causing issues in their relationship. What does she need to know and do on her end? Because we can't control anyone else, right? We're just looking at
Yes.
you. On her end, to freely and lovingly communicate her feelings, desires, and boundaries in a healthy, helpful way. Is that good?
Yeah. And I'm very blessed that he's really great in that. He's very patient with me and trying to help me with that, you know. So I feel really lucky to have him, you know, help me or try to guide me or have the patience
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah. And being vulnerable. So maybe it's uncomfortable being vulnerable, but something
Yes.
vulnerable you could do and say is, I don't know how to communicate my feelings to you, and I feel like running away right now. Can you help me?
Yeah, and I feel like that's in a lot of cases when there's emotions brought out. I don't know how to be emotional. I just kind of like block off and I'm like, this is uncomfortable. This is an uncomfortable feeling. I don't know how to feel or how to express myself. So I just kind of like block off, if that makes sense.
So here's another one. Let's go to this question. She has a hard time knowing how to express her feelings. Where is the block in her? Is it in her heart? Is there a heart wall there? Or what is that block? And what can be done now to remove that and allow her the freedom to feel feelings
Yeah.
and be vulnerable
Yes.
and not have a fear of being vulnerable.
Especially considering I have children now and want I want to offer them that emotional relationship. I don't want to be cold with them or, you know, just block that off. And then they, you know, it's a cycle. Then they won't know how to express themselves. At, at least be comfortable with expressing it or saying it or be vulnerable.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. How old are your kids now?
My oldest is 5, and my
And
little
that's a
one
boy or girl?
girl. My oldest, she's
Girl.
a girl, she's 5, and my little one is a boy, and he's 1. He'll be 2 in December.
Okay. So he's 1.5. Okay.
And he's my emotional one, for sure.
Ah, okay. What a great little teacher,
I
right?
know. Yes. Even my 5-year-old, she's so sassy. She teaches me a lot of stuff, you know. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
really
they do.
appreciate that.
They do. Okay. So parents argued a lot. Okay, so where are we going to go from here? But did they make you feel safe? Did you feel unsafe? Or did they
I
discipline you harshly, or they were good that way?
Yes, I feel like there was a very big gap between me and my parents. My mom had me when she was 32. So there was a big gap between us. She came from Mexico, a different lifestyle. And so it was very hard for her to understand me. She grew up with, you know, that cycle of life as well as in, you know, she didn't receive love. She didn't receive that guidance. She didn't receive a lot of, I guess, attention. And I feel like in the same way, I was brought up like that. I received attention, but it was more strict attention. Um, and I just didn't grow up feeling safe. There was a lot of um, turbulence, a lot of fighting, arguments between my parents, and I feel like I just soak everything up. I feel very is that word empathetic, where you just
Hmm.
feel everything, you soak everything up, and I still have problems with that actually. So yeah, I just feel a lack in that. Like I grew up with fear, is what I'm trying to say. I grew up with a lot of fear, anxiety, depression, and even like a fear of water. for, I don't know if like my attention just got driven into scared of water, but I for sure just always grew up with a fear of something happening.
Something happening meaning that could kill you?
Something that could go wrong, something that could go bad, especially when I was just around water. I don't think anything happened to me aside from me trying to learn how to swim and, failed attempts. But I just remember being alone in the bathtub and being so scared because, a shark was going to eat me, or, stuff like that. I understand when you're a kid, you have a very stimulating mind, and your mind can go, into many directions. But mine was just always a fear of me being wrong. Me, like, my parents were very tough on me with, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it was just, I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm sorry. It's just like
Yeah, you're good.
a whole bunch of negative feelings towards me.
So did they expect you to be perfect, basically?
Yeah, my mom expected me to be a mini her instead of pushing me to be myself or pushing me to learn who I am. I feel like I still don't really know who I am because I'm supposed to follow in her footsteps or be just like her, or have high standards, or have higher standards, as in like, you should have done this, you should have done that, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? And I feel like low self-esteem because of it, because anything I decided I would want to do, or what I wanted to do or be for myself, was always a no. Like, you're dumb, no, like, you can't do that, be real.
Is mom still that way?
um she's gotten a little bit better, but she'll I don't want to say anything negative or bad, but I just feel like she has a little bit of a narcissistic attitude towards me. I mean, it can be towards everybody, but I just feel like that's how her mom was with her, and she's being with me. And I'd hate being like that with my daughter or my children in that case.
Right, right. Because we definitely don't want to make our kids feel like they're never going to be good enough.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I would
you're
hate
amazing
that.
and perfect, but exactly the way you are, and you're beautifully and wonderfully made, and I love everything about you, not because of who you are, not because of what you do, but just because of who you are. You're my son, you're my daughter, right?
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
always told my kids that too, right? Yeah. Um, so you'd get a lot of shame. Mom would
Yes,
shame you.
yes.
We might
And
have some
guilt
trapped shame
trips. Yeah,
and guilt.
shame, guilt trips. Yeah. If I didn't do anything for her, or if I didn't do a certain thing, it was just like I heard it for weeks on end. If I couldn't help her because I was busy working, doing school, volunteering, doing what I had to do, I was shamed for not helping her at that moment when she needed it. I was like, yeah, I'll be able to do it later, mom, I promise. No, I need it now. And then if I couldn't do what she said, it was just a guilt trip for months. And I still hear it sometimes,
Mm,
so I just feel like if I don't please her, and I've grown up to be a people pleaser.
I knew that. Yeah, yeah, got that.
Yeah,
You
I've
have to
grown up.
be. You have to be in a family like that because, I mean, there's no other option.
Yeah. So
They don't
I
leave you
just,
another option.
oh no, definitely. I had no option but to be a people pleaser. And now I've grown up to please everybody but myself, you know. I have a lack of boundaries.
Yeah, people pleasing and lack of boundaries are hand in hand. So, okay, we got a lot here. So let's break this down on some trapped emotions.
Okay.
Okay, does she have a trapped emotion of shame? And if yes, where is she holding that trapped emotion? can you pull it now, send it to Creator's Light, and download in its place the energies of freedom and also unconditional love and light, and tell us what that looks like as you do this for her. Then, same question with guilt. How about that? Guilt. And then download the energy of forgiveness or self-forgiveness, and also unconditional love and light. And she knows she has a lack of boundaries and puts others before herself and is a people pleaser.
That's me.
What would it take? What steps does she need to take to reverse this? Putting herself first and establishing healthy boundaries. And then, well, let me ask you this question. Maybe you know the answer to this. Who in your life right now do you need to have boundaries with?
Right now,
I mean, obviously
everybody.
children. We have to have boundaries
Yes.
for them. Children have to have boundaries because that helps them feel safe.
Okay.
It's like putting a fence in your backyard. Your children feel much safer running around, or let's say your front yard, right? Even worse because there's traffic.
Yeah.
Your children feel and know that they're safe with a fence. Without a fence, it's a constant. What if my ball goes into the street and I chase it? And I mean, they're not as safe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Boundaries keep us safe. They help children to feel safe. They give them structure and help them feel safe because they don't know how to establish boundaries for themselves yet. So when you give them boundaries, it helps them feel safe. They may not like it,
Oh,
but it helps them feel safe. So maybe even research something like that. There's got to be books out there. There's books on everything. There's got to be
definitely.
books on healthy boundaries for children. What does that look like and how do you do it? Maybe even engage. I love engaging my children in things. So, and I did growing up. Mom, as a good parent, mom needs to establish boundaries. This is what a boundary is. A boundary is blah, blah, blah. What do you guys think are some boundaries that could help you feel safe? Help me come up with a list and let's put these into practice because then it's like teamwork and they're like, oh, and you're like, remember that boundary we set? That you can't go past the house on the right and the house on the left unless mom's with you? That's that type of thing. Remember that boundary we have? You broke
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
So remember, we came up with that one together. So did you forget about it? Or, remember boundaries keep us safe. So what do we need to do next time to keep you safe? Yeah, I can't go past that house on the neighbor on the right and the neighbor on the left. If I go 2 houses over, you got to be with me, Mom. That type of thing, whatever it is, right?
Gotcha.
So
And I
it
could kind
engage
of
them
see
with it.
that. I could kind of see that with my older one, my 5-year-old. She's
Yeah, not
very,
the little one,
yeah.
obviously, right?
Yeah, she's very aware, and I feel like sometimes she tends to get anxiety because she's just like, no, I'm with my mom. I'm used to being right here with my mom. So I can definitely see how she would get anxiety or a lack of feeling safe being
Yeah,
elsewhere.
yeah, yeah. Like, and maybe be like, so do you feel safe if I allow you, like maybe you're friends with your neighbors. Let's just use that as an example. Do you feel safe going into Bobby and Timmy's yard? Okay, so we can have that be the boundary, but we don't go beyond their yard.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And Sarah and Jake's house on the other side, you feel safe. You know, if mom's in the yard or in the house, you feel safe going that far. If not, okay, then make the boundary our yard,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
That type
I'll
of thing.
definitely have to learn and do some more research on that because, I mean, how
Mhm.
are they going to learn boundaries when I don't know them myself?
Right, right. But yeah, I'm sure there's got to be books out there that you can get some good ideas from. Just take what resonates with you, and
Definitely.
what you think might work and be applicable to your kids. And then even teaching your 1.5-year-old, like the boundary is you can't open the front door without mom here. Like you can't just open the front door and walk out.
Okay.
Back door
Yeah.
is fine because there's no pool. It's a fenced yard, whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's fine. But the front door is off limits. And if he's an escape artist like mine was until he was, I don't even remember how old, you have to put a lock really high and go,
Yes.
okay, you didn't obey the boundary. I have to put the boundary in here and it's a lock really high until they get smart and grab a chair but anyway, right?
He's getting there.
But yeah, all right, you're getting there. But yeah, the fun days, right? He's 18 now. I'm gonna smack him for it now. Um, my little escape artist. Um, but yeah, so I would say that would be really good homework for you
Okay,
is
yeah.
trying to come up with some, and even maybe discussing it with your husband or making the mom decision and doing it and saying, hey, honey, what do you think about this? This is what I came up with because me and the kids are learning boundaries together, right?
Yes.
Type of thing. So, but it lets them explore in a safe place, in a safe space, and lets them have freedom within those boundaries to learn who they are, which
Yeah.
is what you didn't get to do, right?
Yeah.
Express themselves, learn who they are, things like that. So, anyway, so going back to you, I have the lack of boundaries and the people pleaser. Now, let me go back to your notes that I wrote. Um, a fear of being wrong, and you're expected to be perfect
Yes.
and never allowed to be yourself and learn who you were as an individual. You feel like she doesn't even know who she is now. And then the fear of water. That may be a past life thing. I don't know. Let's explore it. Are you
Okay,
still
yeah.
afraid of water?
I feel like I've gone to lakes or rivers and I just get like a rush of anxiety as soon as I get there.
Okay.
Um, I don't like to swim in like deep water or anything just because of the fear. So I'm like, I'll be right here drinking my pina colada at the beach. I'm fine right here, that
Right.
kind. So I feel like I can go around water, but like trying to get into a boat or stuff like that is just a rush of anxiety to
Right.
the point where I'm just like
Yeah.
sweating. I'm like, oh my God, no, like I have to get out.
Right. And you've gotten as far as you have from something that you've done naturally, which is a therapist would call it exposure therapy, just by
Yeah.
being around it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Um, and that's just how it's going to progress, right? Like just
Yeah.
being around it and taking another little step and realizing that you're safe and
Yeah.
taking another little step and realizing you're safe, right?
Yeah. And then
So,
in my mind, I'm like, I'm safe. Okay. And then it's like, okay, I'm not safe anymore. Let's get out instead of trying to push myself into
right,
something. And I feel like that kind of resonates with a lot of other things in my life with career or school or I wasn't always the best in school, so instead of keep trying and pushing myself to do better, I was just like, okay, no, like I'm gonna mess up because I've been told I'm gonna mess up, I've been told that I'm not gonna
mm,
do good, so I'm just gonna stop here because I'm gonna prove them right. And
right. So, a fear of failure will keep you trapped
yeah.
as a, I'm going to use a new word, as a drifter. A drifter, this book is amazing. If you ever want to listen to it or read it, it's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. He wrote Think and Grow Rich. Um, a drifter, 98% of the population, they just drift along in life with no purpose. Um, and fear keeps you a drifter. And it's one of the quote unquote devil's tools to keep people drifting and not have a purpose, not upset the world and not change the world, not
Yeah.
bring light into the world, not wake up the world. That's not what the quote unquote devil wants, right?
Yeah.
So 2% of the population are the one that make the changes, right? And they have purpose in their life, and they're not drifters, and they take control of their life. They take control of their thoughts. They take control of their mind. They take control of their actions. They create their reality, right? They
Yeah.
decide
Yeah.
who they're going to be, and they demand it from life, and they take it, right? Whether you're a stay-at-home mom or something else, you can still demand that life give you what you want. You can still have a purpose in that. My purpose is to be like the best mom that I possibly can, and maybe have a hobby or some skills that I develop on the side so I don't lose me completely in this process,
Yeah.
right? So that when I'm done being a mom and my kids are older, I still have something that I can be proud of and that's me and it's part of me. And maybe it develops into a career or a side business or a full-time business by the time the kids are older,
Yeah.
because you've honed this skill or this hobby or this talent that brings you passion. And I'm only bringing this topic up because another woman who is a stay-at-home mom, her higher self gave her that advice. Find something that's just yours.
And that's definitely what I have to do because I'm consumed in being a mom and being, a housewife and trying to better my cooking and better, I like cooking, I like baking. So I'm always trying to do better in that. It's like at least I'm at home and my parents can't see that I'm a failure because it's okay, I'm learning as I go, but um that's what I need to do is get a hobby, do something for myself so I can be proud of myself. I mean, I'm proud of
Mm-hmm.
myself for being a good mother. I believe I'm a good mother that needs to learn boundaries, but I
Right.
just, in a way, I'm like, I can do better, but I know at least I'm great at this, my little niche right here.
Mm-hmm. And you're becoming better. So maybe it's something you don't know. Let's just say you want to learn stained glass. Okay, so maybe that's like, I don't know the first thing about stained glass. Let me learn about stained glass. And then you just kind of maybe take a YouTube course or, whatever it is, and you buy the supplies and then you start making some things. You're like, oh, that's kind of ugly. I wish I would have added red there instead of blue or whatever, right? But then you
Yeah.
make these things and you're like, oh, I can actually make these things for Christmas gifts now. Huh. Okay, let me give personal Christmas gifts. Saves your family's budget. It's very personal, and you're really proud of your work. And you can be like infusing it with love and light. And so it goes into somebody else's house and it radiates light in their house. And you're really changing the world that way. Or, maybe your purpose is to be the best mom you can and have this hobby that's going to bring light to the world. Gosh, that's an amazing purpose. And I want to control my thoughts. And I want to become this person who has healthy boundaries. And I don't want to be a drifter. And I want to have purpose in my family and in my marriage and with my little hobby, so that once my kids are older, I have something for me and I can bloom and blossom. And maybe it becomes this like amazing business where you're just lighting up the world, right? But
Yeah.
just kind of thinking a little bit further ahead so you don't end up like a lot of women, their kids go off and they're like, who am I? Like, what do I do with me now? And they've got to
Yeah.
recreate themselves.
And I
Whereas
think,
you
yeah.
you always had something.
Yeah, and I feel like that can potentially happen to me if I don't step on it and get something going. But not that I have this as an excuse, but I was diagnosed with ADHD a while back already, and I feel like
Mhm.
that's what causes me to, have all these ideas of what I want to do, and then I don't have determination, or I get my mind is over here, my mind goes over there, but never to my end goal. So like a drifter, like I
Mhm.
don't end up over here. I just go like this and then I'm like,
Right.
oh nope, I'm back over here. And I never get over here because I don't
I
even
think
know
that's
what's over here
I
at the
think
end.
so. I think most people would be diagnosed as ADHD,
Yeah.
honestly, and because of the day that we live in, we don't have just one thing. We're not living in a cabin in the woods anymore, where we know, okay, my family doesn't eat if I don't get out there and do that garden. my family doesn't eat if I don't make this food because there is no takeout.
Yeah.
I have to keep a clean house because otherwise I'm going to be infested with roaches and bugs and everything else because I don't have a pest service that could come and stop by my little cabin in the woods, right? I mean, just all these different things. And I have to take care of my kids because there's no nanny, right? Like I have to make sure all these things happen. And that is their only focus. They weren't distracted by social media, TV, radio, news, trauma, events,
We're
blah, blah,
so
blah, blah, blah.
stimulated all the time with so
We're
many
so
things going on
stimulated,
around
right?
us.
We're so
Yeah.
stimulated. So I think most of us could be diagnosed with ADHD. I mean, kids and boy. So it's really, it's creating the reality you want and setting this book. It's called Definiteness of Purpose.
Okay, let
And
me
you
write that down.
you set your definiteness of purpose of what you want. And you don't let anything stop you. Scatterbrain, anything stop you from getting to your purpose. You just make yourself do it. And that's really what it is. Because of all the distractions we have, we just have to make ourselves do it. And if it comes down to how do I simplify things in my life so that I can be more focused, maybe I remove social media. Maybe I go on a 30-day social media fast. Maybe I completely even just get rid of the TVs in the house. Maybe whatever it is. Maybe I let my kids only be in one activity instead of 3 each. Whatever it is, right? So that you're not being so consumed by being a mother, which is what happens to most of us. So this is my hindsight giving advice to you as a new young mom. You become so consumed with activities and events and house and work and all of these other things that you absolutely are the last to get anything, and you don't get anything. You don't get a hobby. You don't get free time for yourself. You don't get a little trip away, even for 3-4 day weekend. You don't get the self-care that you need.
Yeah.
Because you give everything to your family because that's the fire in front of you that needs attention and has to be put out. And yours is not a burning fire. It's just a little flame over here.
It's
This is the
barely
burning
lit.
fire.
Yeah.
It's barely lit. So you have to make the choice and create it, or you're just going to be pulled and drifting with every fire, right?
Yeah.
And I did that. That was me. I see that in hindsight. I was pulled and drifted with every fire. And, oh, we need more money. I need to work more hours. And, oh, my kid is sick and now I got to work from home and now I got to do this. And now he's in travel soccer and that one's in travel soccer and this one's doing piano and this one's doing vocal and this one's like all these things. And I had zero time for myself until my kids got older. And then I got to work on me and focus on me and follow my desires and passions. But I had no hobbies and no passions before that. Everything was my family and work because I had to work and do my family. But
Okay.
but don't let that happen to you. I'm just saying that's my advice. Don't let that happen to you.
I'm gonna
Hindsight, I wish
try.
I wouldn't have. But if it does, it does. I mean,
Yeah.
it does. But I didn't know that you could be a conscious creator of your reality either.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that, I just knew that I just had to keep going. I had to keep pushing
Mm,
for my family's sake, for my sake, I just knew I had to be healthy, but I didn't know there was a deeper level into it.
yeah,
I knew about
yeah,
meditation, I knew about, self-care, but my self-care wasn't self-caring. It wasn't doing
yeah,
anything for me at that point because I hardly did it. So
right,
I know I have to keep constant with something in order for that
right.
something to work.
And you know what a really good thing for ADHD is routines. And so many higher selves talk about how critical it is that we have routines.
Yeah.
And so whether it's like you set up a routine, you can write it down even. Every morning I'm going to do this. So like that's why I showed you this journal that I wrote. That's why I wrote this, because it literally is a 15-minute routine in the morning. to help you set the tone to create your day. Okay, so like just to give an example of a routine. So like the first thing at the top of the page, it's like a fill in the blank type of thing, and
Okay.
every single day is the same. It's this. It's like 6 months worth, right?
Uh-huh.
And in the back, there's 33 pages of affirmations in alphabetical order on different things, like being a conscious creator, abundance, support, um, um, goals, focus, gratitude, helping others, joy, limitlessness and belief systems, love, perseverance and power, peace, different affirmations that I put together over the last however many years, right? No matter what it takes, I am willing to persevere, right?
That's amazing.
So you
Yeah.
write at the top of the page, you write today's affirmation. This is the tone for my day. No matter what it takes, I am willing to persevere. That's my affirmation for the day. So then maybe you write it down on a note card and you carry it in your pocket. Or maybe you write it on the inside of your arm in marker. Oh my God, I just thought of that. Maybe you write it on
Yeah.
the inside of your arm in marker so you don't have to carry anything around with you. And you're
Or
just
put it
like,
as your screensaver too. You could
right,
definitely do that. Yeah.
anything, right? So that's your affirmation. This is what I'm creating in my day. No matter what it takes, I'm willing to persevere. Okay. And then the next one is to show myself love. Today I will, what? What are you going to do to show yourself love? And then commit to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Today, to show myself love, today I'm going to stretch and I'm going to go on our lunch break and I'm going to spend some time eating my lunch outside, listening to nature. Okay. Because I'm on
Okay.
antibiotics. I can't be in the sun. Otherwise I'd be in the sun. But
Uh,
okay. Then today I honor and send gratitude, love, and light to this body part. How often do you think of your pancreas?
Never.
Imagine the energy and the cellular
I'm the
change.
pancreas of this family. No. They never
Imagine the
think of me.
cellular, right? Imagine the cellular change and the energy that would be received by your pancreas if you took 1 minute to think about your pancreas and send it love and gratitude and thanks and send it this message. I am so sorry for not ever thinking of you before
So
and
sorry. Where's my
expecting you
pancreas?
to be perfect for me and keep me healthy. And I never even thought about all the things you do for me and how amazing you are. Like, I love you. Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
You
Or
know,
your
I
appendix.
that's wild. I never thought of it that way. I thought as my body as a whole, but never just, one organ or we don't come to think about it until we don't have it or something's not functioning
And say your
right.
appendix first, right?
Yes. So it's really nice to get down to that level and give gratitude at that level.
Right?
Yeah.
Imagine. And so maybe you have a little, and what I suggest is Google it. What all does a pancreas do? Read it for a minute and go, oh my gosh, you are amazing. Like,
Yeah.
wow, thank you for everything you do. So that's the next thing. And then the next thing is a morning checklist routine, right? We're getting in a routine.
Hmm.
Grounded. Did you ground yourself? Did you cut all energetic cords? Did you clear your energetic space from all those people you were interacting with? Did you shield yourself to protect yourself? Did you shield your children? Did you meditate for just a minute? Do any quiet time? And then there's a place to write 3 I am statements. So this is you declaring to the universe who you are. I am focused today. I am determined. I am an amazing mother. I am learning more and more how to have healthy boundaries every day. I am learning how to become an incredible cook, whatever it is, right? Make your I am statements. That is huge in deciding who you're creating yourself to be. Then on the bottom, I am a creator. Today I intend to create what? Clean home, peace in my home, joy by dancing with my kids in the living room and acting goofy today. or an amazing meal for my family.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And I could
I
see
intend
that,
to
yeah.
create whatever. Yeah. And then at the bottom, every night, the stars. Today I created. It may match what you wanted to create, or it may be different. But at the end of the day, it's a little place for you to write, what did I create? So I can remind myself that I am a creator. I created intimacy with my husband by being totally open with him about my feelings tonight. I created uh, peace in my home by clearing out the clutter in that corner that's been there for 6 months or whatever. I
Yeah.
created a really joyful dinner with my family by starting out by putting a gratitude bucket in the middle of the table so everyone could say what they're grateful for or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Before we
Yeah.
ate dinner.
So it's
And
like
then,
creating tiny little goals throughout the day for that day, or, for that week.
yeah, so you're setting the intention. Today I intend to create.
Okay, yeah.
Whether you do it, whether you do it or not, go back and review your day briefly at the end and go, what did I create today? Because you did create things, or you had to create something that day, right?
Yeah.
So write down what you created, because I want you to go back over the months and look at that bottom right-hand corner of what you did create and go back and remind yourself, oh my gosh, I created a lot of things over the past 4, 5, 6 months. Like, I really am a creator. I create my reality. And then at the bottom it says, today I did my best, even if my best was not perfect. I love myself unconditionally and have grace for everything I did do and for everything I did not do. I am enough,
I love that.
right? So remind yourself and read that from the heart every night, just like it's a statement to yourself. I wasn't perfect, but I did everything, and I love myself, and I have grace for myself for everything I did do and didn't do. And then on the back, there's like this note page if you want to write any notes, inspirations or things you maybe kind of messages you feel like maybe that was my higher self talking. I don't know. It sounds good. I'm going to write it down. And then, of course, like I said, you got 33 pages of affirmations in the back if you need any ideas. So $19.99 on Amazon, my dear. And then I have a video on YouTube.
I've been
Um,
influenced. No.
but
I said, I've been influenced. I'm going to go buy it.
I have and I'm going to be marketing it soon. My social media manager is going to be putting that out there. But I have a video on my YouTube, and it's explained in the front. It tells you exactly how to use this journal, and it has a link to my YouTube channel. There's a video if you don't know how to cut cords, if you don't know how to ground yourself, if you don't know how to shield yourself. I have a 12-minute video out there that goes through all of that. It's 12 minutes, and it's literally something higher self says. It's a spiritual must-do on your spiritual journey every day, those 4 things:
Okay.
grounding, shielding, cord cutting, and clearing your energetic space. And so if you go on my YouTube channel, you got to click on the videos tab, and it's called the 4 must-dos, or you can actually just click on my social media, my TikTok. If you click on my bio, there's a link. There's the video right there called the 4 must-dos. It leads you right to that video. But
Okay.
those I made from like years of people's higher self telling everyone, no, these are must-dos in your spiritual journey. You want to be doing these things every single day, and it helps you have boundaries, spiritual boundaries, energetic boundaries too, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I go back to saying all that, not to just push my journal really, but it's to say how important routines are, especially if you quote unquote have ADHD, to do a routine, and routines are critical for kids. That's why it's
Yeah.
like, it's nap time from here to here. It's we do this. It's we do that. Why do you think daycare centers have, okay, this is craft time, this is play time, this from this to this is this time, from this to this is lunch, from this to this? Because those are also boundaries and structure, and it makes kids feel safe. So
Okay.
that is another thing that you put. It's like putting a box around it, and this is how we feel safe.
Yeah,
This is how we
definitely.
keep focused, and this is how we feel safe. And that's just like how we function on this planet, right? It's
Yeah.
part of kind of being in this system, but it also gives kids the added ability to feel safe and secure. Like, okay, it's predictable. I don't have to be anxious and wonder what's coming next because I know we're going to do crafts. We're going to do
Yeah.
lunch. We're going to bake together. It's quiet time. It's time in the corner with my book. It's whatever, right?
It's like they
Just
know
kind of
what
maybe
to expect next.
they know what to expect. And for my kids, I used to have a chart and I would put it on the wall, right? So I would say, okay, this is this time, this is nap time, this is free time. You know, here's some things you can do in free time. If you need suggestions, come to mom, but I'm going to leave it up to you.
Hmm.
What do you like to do? What do you want to do? Oh, I want to do extra crafts. Mom, can you help me get the crafts out? Okay, well, whatever you can't get out on your own, I can help you. But I think you're big enough to get your crafts out on your own, like so establishing independence, right?
Yeah.
That type of thing, right? But giving them freedom to decide, what do I want to do in my free time? Who am I? What do I like?
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Establishing that confidence in them too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. So free time is important in the schedule, and that's why daycare centers have it too, right? Because
Yeah.
they have all these activities in the room, and the kids get to choose what are they like, what are their passions, what motivates them, what excites them. They get to go choose that activity and go do it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
playtime outside, freedom to play on the trikes, or no, I want to go on the swings, or I want to do this, or whatever. And it gives them the freedom to discover what they prefer to do. So
Yeah.
maybe time at the park with you, right? That's our playtime. That's our outdoor time, right? Because that's critical, having outdoor time, right? Even in
Oh yeah.
100-degree weather, even if it's
Oh,
15
I know.
minutes, right? Um, but yeah, so, but us having routine that
Yes.
helps lessen the anxiety for us and it keeps us on track,
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. I am gonna
right?
have to research more on that and how to set the boundaries for sure.
Yeah. So, but let's ask, what can you do? She has a hard time focusing. Okay, hold on. Hard time getting to tasks, getting tasks started, right?
Yes.
Tasks started,
I feel just very
focusing,
blocked. Yeah.
focusing on them and staying on task. Does that sound good? And
Yes.
staying on task. What what kid you recommend that she do in order to help with this? And then after that, I want to ask, are you able to scan her brain and see if there are any, I'm going to use this term and it's going to sound funny, but any disconnected cords or loose wires
Ooh, a lot of those.
or fog, brain fog, or any such thing that might be interfering with her ability to get started on tasks and stay on task? And if yes, can you tell us what that is and fix that now and tell us what you're doing as you do it? How about that? Is that good?
Yes. I also did want to bring something up.
Yeah.
I always see 9/11 everywhere. The time, 9/11. Like it's like almost every day. It's like I look at the time right now, even right now is 11:11 out my time, but I always see 9/11 and my husband's like, "Oh, it's just because you're so used to seeing it." I'm like, "No, I'm not looking for it. I'm not searching for it. It just I see it everywhere." And I don't know what that means. And I've seen it since I was so young,
Okay.
a
So she
teenager.
always sees the number 911. Why is that? Is that a specific message for her? Let's ask.
Yeah.
Okay. But then going back to what you said earlier, because I know I missed something. Oh, the water and also a fear of being wrong and expected to be perfect.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
just I feel like my brain is covered in fear and anxieties, and especially with water. There's a fear of water for sure. It's like I just feel claustrophobic as soon as like I get in.
Okay, got that one. But then the fear of being wrong or perfect. She also has a fear of being wrong and not being perfect. What can you tell her to help her overcome this? Okay. Okay. We're getting a lot in here, my dear. Okay. I think we got everything to this point.
Okay.
What else?
Let's see. So I have a whole list here of stuff.
Okay.
Um, but
Pick your top questions, and let's deal with those.
so we've already gone through some like majority of these. It's just a couple that
Okay.
I do want to go through.
Okay.
Which is the fears of, and, not feeling good enough. I don't have the confidence. Um, and I want to see if I can break the generational cycle, the toxic cycle and end it with my children. Like, I don't want them to have that generational cycle uh, with them. I just want it to stop with
Which
me.
one of
My mom,
of
um,
perfectionism and things like
yeah,
that, you mean? Or
me being irrational with them or just being too strict on them or being a narcissist. I don't think I am a narcissistic person or anything, but I just don't want to have a generational cycle like that with my daughter.
okay, I have a better question. How about this? I have a better question. Because I think you are the generational breaker.
I hope so because I don't want to do that and
Yeah,
I
I think
don't
you
want to
are.
continue.
But so here's the question. So she doesn't want to be like her mother and treat her children the way she was treated, and wants to be the one to break that generational pattern of narcissistic treatment. What is there anything? Is there anything she is currently doing now that is continuing that pattern that you could bring to her attention so she can change it? And what other advice do you have to give her on how to be a supportive, loving parent to her children? How about that?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. What else you got?
I think that's practically it, which is my fears, blockages, anxiety, the uh, low confidence, the fear of water, um,
How
not
about
really.
downloading Creator's definition of self-confidence into you? Do you want that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So would it benefit her to have you download Creator's definition of self-confidence into her? And if yes, can you do that for her now and tell us what that process looks like as you do it? And then, following up from there, would it also benefit her to have you download the program into her of, I know what it feels like to be confident in my daily life and in my decision making, and tell us what that process looks like. And then would it also benefit her to have you download the program into her of, I know how and when to exert, to be and exert my confidence in my daily life, and tell us what that process looks like. Okay. If you want to see real results from this session, I'm going to tell you, based on other clients and what they've done, to get truly life-changing results from this session. You're going to want to save this recording on your phone of your actual session, and you're going to want to have it in your ears as much as you can.
Okay.
Playing. Re-listening to it if you're like walking around. I understand you got your kids, that's your full-time job. I get that. But anytime you can, like let's say, I don't know if you go to the gym. If you do go to the gym or the treadmill, you'd want to maybe put it on while you're there.
Okay.
And also printing out your notes. I'm highlighting all my stuff, highlight it the way you want or just leave it blank. But reading and constantly keeping it in front of you and reminding yourself of the healing that you're going to get in this session, reminding yourself of the wisdom and the advice of your higher self, and reinforcing the faith and confidence that you did receive these downloads, and be like, give me more of that. Talk to your higher self while you're reading it, while you're listening to it. Yeah, give me more of that. Give me another dose of confidence. Give me another dose of that feeling. Give me another dose of strengthen Creator's definition of self-love into me, of worthiness into me. Like, use it as like an interactive thing to talk to your higher self while you're listening to it or reading it. And you'll get more and more and more. Be greedy.
Yeah.
Okay? Be greedy for yourself, because this is you're doing this for yourself. This is self-love, right? Be greedy and ask for more and more and more, and give me more, and strengthen that, and show me what that means. Give me another example. How can I do this, and how can I do that, and give me more of that. So that's what I'm telling you. The more you keep it in front of you and implement every single thing your higher self is going to tell you that you need for your best and highest life, the better and higher life you're going to have.
Okay.
Okay?
Definitely. I will do that for
So
sure.
that's why I give the notes too, and I type it all out.
Perfect.
Okay. So let me look at your list that you sent to me. Do you have any health issues you want to touch on?
Aside from anxiety and depression, I just feel like very
Depression.
low energy, very, very, very low energy all the time. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a mother, but I just feel very low energy. But aside from any other complications, I don't have anything.
Okay. So this is what I got some ideas. And we got, let me see this question, and I know you're going to love it.
I love all the questions.
Yeah, the list they sent you is really good. All right. She has very low energy all the time. Does this have anything to do with her vagus nerve? And if yes, are you able to heal, strengthen, and balance her vagus nerve so it's performing optimally? And if yes, can you tell us what that looks like as you do it? And if your higher self says no, it's because of blah, 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 then of course I'm going to follow that up with all kinds of questions.
Okay.
And then can you teach her body how to have an abundance of energy and know what that feels like? But actually, I had a question I asked this client's higher self yesterday, and I think I might copy and paste it to yours, because her higher self was like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like, really? Cool. Okay, hold on. Let me find that question.
Okay.
I asked her higher self 2 questions. I was like, I don't know. I've never asked anybody's higher self this before, but let's just ask and see if your higher self or higher self was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And I was like, really? Cool.
Bring it.
Right. So hold on. Okay. I'm going to take this one too, because her higher self had me reword this question. It's about worthiness. So let me put this one into yours.
Okay.
Because it's from higher self. So here we go. So it's got to be good. It is good. Worthiness. Where's your worthiness one? So here, I'll read it to you. Can you download the program into her of, I know what worthiness feels like down to every cell in my body. And I know that I embody worthiness. And I know what it feels like. And I know how to be worthy every minute of every day of my life, and that I am deserving of having and knowing Creator's worthiness.
Love it.
How about that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one. I need to add that to my regular list, I guess. And then her other one was, okay, so I asked that question. Can you teach her body how to have an abundance of energy and know what it feels like? And her higher self said, yes. I'm taking out one cell, putting my finger on it, stirring it up, and replacing it. And it will communicate to the other cells. It will teach other cells to stir themselves up, to rev up their engines, so to speak.
Okay.
So let's ask it in those words.
Yeah, definitely. That was an interesting answer.
Right? Right? She had an amazing session yesterday. I cannot wait to post hers on social media. Oh my gosh. Her session was just chock full of really amazing things. Okay, so let me put that by the energy one. Okay. Can you take out one cell from her body, put your finger on it, finger in it, and stir it up? Stir it up and replace it so that it can go and communicate with the other cells, comma, teaching the other cells how to stir themselves up and rev up their engines, so to speak, with an abundance of energy. And if yes, can you tell us what that process looks like as you do it? And then I'll leave some space and say, or is there a different way
Okay.
You would prefer to do this? Yeah, because that might be her higher self's way, but your higher self is like, I'm not going to stick my finger in a cell. No, I don't know.
What are you talking about?
What? Where did you come up with that crazy idea? Or from that other lady's higher self?
Yeah.
You're calling her higher self crazy? There. That was the question I was searching for.
Okay.
Okay, and then you said depression.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit about that. How long have you had that?
I've been diagnosed with it since I was 14, 15. But I just feel like it goes up and down, up and down. It's not always steady. But I always do tend to turn into a hermit when I become depressed. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do anything about it, but I'm just so scared that it'll completely consume me and I won't be able to get out of it one day or something. I just don't want to be like that because that's not an example I want to set for my children. I want them to be fighters and push through. And, of course, with help or whatever they need.
Are you on medication for it or no?
No, I was doing the traditional Chinese medicine for my anxiety, but I then got pregnant and I wasn't able to fully go through that until after. So I'm waiting until I stop lactating and everything so I can go through with that process now.
Okay.
And I just feel like it stems from low self-esteem and not feeling worthy enough,
Yeah.
of I didn't get to fully have a career before I got pregnant. I just felt like, you feel like everybody's doing this, everybody's going to school, everybody's graduating, everybody's got something going on, and you just feel like you fell behind on yourself. Like you didn't do enough for yourself. So, well, at least that's how I feel. And I just feel like that's what's really feeding my depression.
Feeling inadequate.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
know I shouldn't feel that way. Everybody's life is different. And, I'm a mom, and I feel like being a mother is what's more important to me right now than focusing on a career.
Mhm.
I just, it always eats at the back of my mind, for sure.
But that's what having your own little hobby is going to
Yeah.
help you with.
Yeah,
And when I
definitely.
say hobby, it doesn't mean that it has to be something stupid like stamp collecting. I mean, no offense if you like stamp
No.
collecting.
What is a stamp? No.
Like, what? Why do people like stamps? Like, it's so dumb. No, that's just my perception. But some people really get into it. But whatever. So, yeah, now you can't even collect stamps because they're all forever stamps. It's like, well, that's no fun,
Yeah.
right? No. So, but it can be something. It's just something that sparks a passion in you, that you have your own little thing that you can be creative because you're a creator.
Yeah.
Be creative, allow you to express yourself, learn what you like. And you know what? If you go through 10 things before you find the thing that you want to stick with longer term, who cares?
Yeah.
Let it be let it be 10 things that you didn't like and be like, "Oh, yeah, I thought stained glass was it, but it's not all that." Right? Like that was
Yeah,
fun for
definitely.
one Christmas. That was fun for one Christmas, but yeah, I'm not going to do it again. So like super quick example, my my boyfriend and I one Christmas, I like got this bug in me to make all kinds of homemade Christmas decorations. And I mean gorgeous. Like I was finding ideas on TikTok and Pinterest. And I mean, they were really pretty. Like we were taking wine bottles and painting them and wrapping them in twine and putting like a J on one and red and white letter and it spelled out joy. And I still put them in my house for Christmas because they're so pretty. Like I made like 5 decorations I ended up keeping for myself, and the rest I ended up giving out as Christmas presents. And I was like, that was the funnest thing I think I've ever done as an adult. And it was so fun. And they were so pretty. And I was like, wow, I can be creative. Like, I didn't know I was like crafty like that I could do that. That was so fun.
Yeah. And it kind
And we
of
gave
lifts
them,
your spirits to be more
totally
creative.
did. It totally did. And we had so much fun together doing it. Like, I was able to bring him in on that list, or the husband or the kids or whatever, right? Like,
Hmm.
whatever it is, making gingerbread houses and give one to mom and grandma and whatever, right? So, and and then with my kids, we make gingerbread houses, and then we give them completely inappropriate, dirty names, right? Like every gingerbread house, because my kids are older, so we can do that, right? We give them
Yeah.
completely inappropriate names, like children would not want to see these names, but it's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And we always pick something off the house and make it dirty. You know what I mean? And it's so fun and hilarious. And then we let people come in and vote. Friends come in and vote, like, which one, and based on
That's
the
so
name and the house
fun.
together. Like just super fun things, creative things like that, right? But and then this last Christmas, I thought, oh, maybe I should be making those really gorgeous Christmas decorations again and giving those out as presents again. And it was like, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not my thing this year.
That was
Like, I did it
temporary.
and it was fun, but I don't want to recreate the same thing again. I want to do something different, something new. Right.
Yeah.
So, but I say that to say, just because it's something you do for a little while, it doesn't mean you have to stick to it. And that has to be my thing. Try all kinds of things, and whatever sparks your interest at the time, then just go with that. You know what I mean? And don't feel
Definitely.
like it's something you
Yeah.
have to stick to. Right?
Gotcha.
Just be free to express and create. Maybe you make a little she shed or a little she room or a little she corner, and that's your craft space or your space to go and be creative. And this is me time. And maybe you make a me time sign on the door and everybody knows this is me time. I have an hour to myself twice a week where it's me time, and mommy goes in this room and it's me time, and you guys entertain yourselves. Go have your own me time. What are you going to do in your me time? Teach your kids how to have their own me time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe husband goes and takes care of the kids, or he has his own me time, and you're all doing your own me time or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But or your self-love corner or whatever it's called. But so depression, let's go back to depression. But I think that's going to help you too. Because then
Yeah.
you're going to have your own thing, and you don't want to keep comparing yourself to everyone else. Forget about what anyone else is doing with their life,
Yeah.
because they have a totally different journey. Because if that was your journey, you would be doing that.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
I
your
just
journey.
feel like I've never tried to compare myself. I don't like to compare myself, but I just feel like it's rooted from, my parents. Like, oh, this person did that. Why couldn't you do that? Why couldn't you do this? Why couldn't you do that? It's like, because that I'm me, I'm not that person. But I just feel like it's in the back of my head, just because of that root from my mom. And I'm not trying to put the blame on her at all, because it is the way it is, and she grew up like that because of her mother, and I'm sure her mother was the same with her.
And they have a good intention behind it. If you
Yeah.
think about it, the intention is, I want you to be better than I
Yeah.
was. I want you to be better, that I know you can be better, and I'm pushing you to be better because I
Yeah.
can see you're capable of more, and I can see you can do more. And they come about it the wrong way, but their intention
Their
is
delivery just is different than their
sucks.
intention. Yeah.
Their delivery sucks, but their intention is good, right? So, um, so yeah, it's just catching yourself again when you're
Hmm.
thinking like that, and consciously stopping yourself from thinking like that and being like, I'm amazing exactly how I am. And that's why you want to have affirmations in the back of your head, a few that you constantly pull, right?
Yeah.
I am amazing. I am beautifully and wonderfully made, and amazing exactly how I am, and doing exactly what I'm doing. And I'm right where I'm supposed to be,
Definitely. And
or I
I think
wouldn't,
I need to
or I
work on
wouldn't be
my
here.
Definitely. And I think I need to work on my reaction more on when people do tell me negative things or whatnot, things like that push my self-esteem down. I need to work on my reaction on, hey, it's fine. That person's telling me this with a different intention of, instead of me taking it to heart and just, putting myself down. Like, oh, I'm the worst because this person said this to me. Or, my
Can you give me
mother
an
told.
example? Can you give me an example of
Yeah,
somebody saying
definitely.
something like that would make you feel bad?
Yeah, like for example, my mom would always tell me, "Look, your cousins have a whole master's degree, all three of them, and why couldn't you do that? Why don't you do something? Why don't you figure something out? Why go to school for something at least something?" And I'm like, I am going to school, but it was always a look. They're better than you because they did
No, but
this.
now in your life, who does
Oh,
that now in your life, and what is an example of something now?
maybe random people or friends that want to have something to say. Uh, just maybe like my sister the other day was like, "You're so controlling." Oh God, like she was just making like the ugliest faces, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. And like I got really upset because I'm like, I'm not controlling, but I'm like, I'm letting her control my emotions. I don't want that. And
Mm,
but it's just a delivery of how she said it. If she was like, "Oh yeah, you're controlling," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, maybe." But the
mm.
way she came about it and said, "Oh yeah, you're so controlling," like, making faces and making it more apparent that she's very bothered by how I am. I was just like,
So here's your boundary,
yeah,
right? Um, to let her know that she can't talk to you like that, right? Because you're letting her talk to you like that,
yeah,
right? And then you're feeling bad about it. So it's dealing with your feeling afterwards. But in the moment, it might be something like this. It might be like, for instance, here's something I would say. Well, if I'm too controlling for you, then maybe we shouldn't be talking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I should have said something, but I just didn't want to because it was Father's Day. My dad was here and he's already had it with, the back and forth. But I was
Mm,
just really upset because I'm like, I can't, I invited you into my house. I fed you. I've gone, to do all this food for everybody. And you're going to sit here after you ate, after you're hanging out at my house and tell me that I'm controlling and you're making faces at me and you're just throwing jabs at me.
mm.
And
Oh, so if she was there in person, then it's maybe something like taking her aside and going, if you feel I'm too controlling, maybe it's best if you just leave now.
yeah, and that's what I need to do. And now she's
Because
called me.
your negative energy is really, I really
It's
don't want it in
bogging
my house.
everything down. Yeah.
I don't want it in my house,
Yeah.
right?
And I need to take more control. And
Right.
I'm telling you, when
And if
I
you
get
can talk to me respectfully, then we can talk again,
yeah.
right? But in
Yeah.
my house, you need to talk respectfully to me and not degrade me, especially in front of people. Or did she do it in front of people?
In front of the whole family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in front of people. You don't come in my house and degrade me. If you feel the need to do that, then I feel the need to not invite you to my house anymore.
Yeah.
That's a boundary, right?
Definitely.
It's
I
letting
need
her
to do that.
know it's not okay. And people, when you give them boundaries, they're not going to like it. And she'll get her feelings all offended because she doesn't want to be called out. And she doesn't want to have a boundary because you never gave her a boundary before. And now she's like really ticked that you just gave her a boundary. So she's not going to like it and she might cut you off. Good. Then you're away from her negative energy. But
Yeah.
she's making the choice because she has a choice to make. She can either be like, oh, gosh, I'm really sorry that I did that. You're right. That was really crappy of me. So that's one option. The other option is to get offended, huff and puff out of there, and not talk to you anymore. But it's her choice. And we got to set our boundary and not be concerned with how the other person acts or reacts. Or if dad gets upset that now you two aren't talking, just be like, Dad, this is between me and her. And I'd really appreciate it if you would just let us handle our relationship. We don't need a parent handling our relationship for us anymore. I'm 30
Yeah.
years old. That's a boundary, right? I'm 30 years old. I don't need you telling me how to manage my relationship,
Definitely. And
right?
I think that's the people pleaser in me that I'm just like, oh, let me not upset my father. Let me not
Mm,
upset my mother. And um, she's very, she has a specific way of how to manage my dad, as in manipulate my dad into thinking, poor me, poor me, poor me. So me and her go back and forth into it. Um, and I do have a placement in astrology. I don't remember what placement it is, but I don't know if you're into astrology or not.
I don't know much about astrology.
But it was like a placement of me not getting along with all the females in my family. And I'm like, well, I can see that because I don't really get along with my sister. And then
Mm,
with my mom, there's always uh, that relationship that's just back and forth there. So I'm like, I don't want to start anything with my, or have that relationship with my daughter. I mean, I don't know how
right,
true it is or not, but I just don't.
right,
I'm very aware. I'm trying to be very
right,
aware of that. Yeah.
right. Right. And you're not going to be able to control how your daughter reacts to you as she gets older. Like you're not
Hmm.
going to be able to control that. And you're going to have to be okay with whatever feelings she has or expresses towards you,
Yeah,
you know,
definitely. And
because
I
cause
respect it.
she'll likely outgrow them. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Eventually she'll likely outgrow them. Um, but with regard to your sister, this is your lesson in boundaries because if you don't learn it, you're going to have to do it again.
Yeah.
Right. So it's your lesson in boundaries. And like I had to sit my mom down one day and I told her after cutting her out of my life for 20 years because she was toxic,
Oh,
I let her
wow.
back in. I let her back in. And then when she came back into my life, it was the honeymoon period for, the first, whatever, 6 months. And then she started telling me what I should be doing with my life and how I should be raising my children.
Mm.
and I was like 45, 44. And I said, Mom, listen, your days of parenting me are done. Right now, we're more on the like friend level. You're still mom, but you're more like a friend.
Yeah.
And I don't need you to parent me anymore. I don't want you telling me how to live my life. I make my own decisions, and I don't need you telling me. If I ask you for advice, that's different. But if I don't ask you, don't give me unsolicited advice and direction in my life, please. That's number one. Number two, do not parent my children, and do not tell me how to parent my children. I'm not okay with that. Telling me in front of my kids that they're lazy, or that they need to be doing this, or they need to be emptying the dishwasher, and why don't I make them do this, and why don't I have them help with this? That's got to stop. If you want to come and see us, and if you want to be in our home, you have to follow these rules. You are just grandma. I just want you to love on my kids and be grandma, but not tell me how to parent them and not tell them what they should be doing in my house.
Hmm.
I am the parent. You're not their parent. And I don't need a parent anymore. If you can agree to this, we can continue this relationship. But if we can't, I'm not going to be able to be around you anymore. She's like, okay, fine. And she was good for a couple of years and 3 more years. And then she became super toxic again
Oh,
and blew up.
wow.
And so that was 6 years ago. So now I don't have anything to do with her again. I can't.
Yeah.
Because she's a distraction for my purpose, because I have definiteness of purpose, and she's a distraction on the sideline, and she sucks my energy, and she sucks my focus, and I can't have that for what I'm doing in my life. And that's directly from my spirit team telling me this, because
Yeah.
she's not going to change. She's not going to change.
That's deep rooted
Um,
already. They won't change.
yeah. We don't help toxic people by being around them and allowing them to continue being toxic. We don't help them.
No, at all, at all. And that's what I've noticed. I mean, I was a couple years back, I had to live with my mom, and it got really toxic because I was living at her house, and she was treating me like when I was 10, 12, talking to me the way she did, disrespected me to the point where I cried every day that I was living there. So now it's changed a little more, and now like okay, we can easily like get back into it because she wants to see her grandchildren, she wants to be with her grandchildren, and she's helped me quite a bit more now. And uh, with the relationship, I feel like we haven't talked about it, but I don't think I want to poke at that because it's very hard to put, not that I want to win an argument with her, but it's just very hard to get that point across with her.
Right. Right.
She will never accept that she's wrong. And so I just
Right.
never, I just don't even want to touch it anymore.
Yeah, and if they're narcissists or narcissistic tendencies, they will never be wrong.
Yeah, they'll never accept it. There
They'll
will
never
always be
be
something
wrong.
else. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's always someone else.
yeah, and so I've seen that so much. If something happens, it's not her fault, or it's gonna be everybody else's fault but hers. She was the victim here, and
Yeah,
that's where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna try to bring it up. I can't.
yeah, 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 100%. So let's, yeah, the depression, I totally see where the depression comes from. You're going to dig yourself out of this.
Yeah,
If you become a conscious creator of your reality and make all these changes that your higher self is, and, you know, and this stuff we're talking about, you're going to dig yourself right out of this. And there's so much joy. I'm just telling you, so much joy and peace living more as your higher self. There's just so much joy and peace in that.
definitely. I'm
Um,
just ready to be there. I'm ready. I'm ready. Like
yeah, yeah,
I feel like I've struggled so much to get my mentality to change. I feel like I'm in a hole and I can't get out, kind of, you know, and
yeah.
I'm just ready to like do it. Like I feel like there's so many setbacks, and I let those setbacks just be excuses, and I'm like, oh well, no, this happened, that happened, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. And
Mhm.
I'm just ready to be back on track, be energetic, do, push through everything, uh, just continue on with life with high energy, with high joy, love. That's what I just want to portray. I want to be it. I just don't want to portray. I want to be full of love and
Yeah.
full of energy and, do so much for my children. I don't want to see them. Um, and I get emotional because I think of them doing this. I don't want them to have any traumatic. I know they'll probably have traumatic experiences, or life is life. We're here for that, but I just want to be the one that they come to for help, or they look up to me. Not that, like, I didn't look up to my mom because I was just so ashamed of how she treated me,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
and
they're
I
gonna
just
stub
don't
their
want that.
toe. You got to let them run on the playground and stub their toe, and
Yeah,
you got to let
definitely.
them ride their bike and fall off their bike, literally and figuratively. But then
Yeah.
you're the one there that scoops them up and comforts them, right?
Yeah, let's go get ice cream. Come on, that
Yeah,
type of,
yeah,
yeah, let's go. Come on,
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So, I noticed your voice cracking when you were talking about mom. So that means there's trapped emotions there. So, um, is she still holding any trauma on any level, all the way down to a cellular level, from the painful actions and words of her mother? And if yes, where is she holding that pain and trapped emotions? Can you pull it now? Send it to Creator's Light and replace it instead with unconditional love, light, and acceptance. And tell us what that looks like as you do it. And then this question popped into my head. What would it take for her to move forward in her life without carrying the scars, the pain, negative self-belief, or scars from her past pain and trauma? How about that? What would it take for her to move forward in her life without carrying the pain, negative self-beliefs, and or scars from her past pain and trauma?
yeah, love it.
She can be free, right? You want freedom,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, I do.
And then she has had depressive bouts since she was a teenager. What is, can you scan her body and see if there is anything physical contributing, physical or chemical contributing to the depression? And then look at her emotional body and tell us what healing she needs in order to overcome these episodes. And can you do that healing for her now and tell us what that looks like as you do it? Okay, I'm getting to this question. Okay, sorry, you're not hearing the conversation going on in my head. Okay, hold on. I'm getting that question. I got it. Okay. Are you able to close receptors in her body, in her cells, for pain, shock, trauma, and drama, and give her an abundance of receptors for joy.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
And then, what are the top 3 things she can do in her life now that would have the greatest, most beneficial impact in her life? You like that one?
Yeah, I do.
That's gonna be straight up homework. And then the last 2 questions I always ask are there any other messages you want to share with her now before we end this session? And then the very last question, if she takes all the information from this session and incorporates it into her life, how will her life be different going forward compared to what it would have been like had she not done this session and incorporated all of these changes? Let that scare
like
you,
that.
right?
Yeah.
If you don't do this, you don't do this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Right? To be tossed into the fiery pit of hell. No, I'm kidding. Like in church, they teach you, if you don't have Jesus, you're going to hell.
Yes.
How I grew up.
Oh, me too.
Okay. Yeah. So, what was that? Oh, okay. I was just scrolling too fast. We have got a lot of questions, my dear. And I realized there are a lot more we could ask. This is just an outline. There's going to be a lot more questions to flush all these out anyway, to get as much information from everyone. There's going to be all kinds of bunny trails I'm going to go on based on what your higher self says. I'm going to follow that up with another follow-up and another follow-up.
Gotcha.
So we're going to be all over the place. But this is my outline of things that we can ask for you. Perfect. So does that sound good? Does it look good? The list look good?
That sounds really good.
Okay. So I'm going to end this now, part 1, and invite everyone back to watch part 2, where we will jump in and you will be in a past life. Usually, not every single person sees a past life, just FYI, but 98% of people do. So if you're one of the 2%, don't freak out. We'll just try to connect right away with your higher self. So, but normally we jump right into a past life. Then if your higher self will show you, we will look at what you do in between lives. That doesn't always happen either. It's about 60% of the time you do, 40% you don't.
Okay.
And then I will call forth your higher self and we'll get right into the questions. Okay. So you got your lunch homework that I gave you, plenty to do. So I'll end the recording. We'll talk logistics for like 30 seconds and then we'll take our lunch break. So invite everyone back to watch part 2.